From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo. The White House says a Navy admiral ordered a second strike on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean and insists the September 2nd attack was lawful. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt yesterday offered a justification for the strike after lawmakers from both parties announced there will be congressional reviews of U.S. military strikes against vessels suspected of smuggling drugs in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. A published report last week said Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth issued a verbal order for all crew members on the boat to be killed. The publisher of a Canadian children's book character is blasting a social media post by the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
Hegseth shared a mock cover of a Franklin the Turtle book titled Franklin Targets Narco-Terrorists. In it, a smiling Franklin, dressed as a soldier, fires a bazooka-like weapon at one of 3 boats, an apparent reference to U.S. military strikes against suspected drug smuggling vessels. A caption reads, "For your Christmas wish list." A spokesperson for publisher Kids Can Press says the post is denigrating and violent. It adds Franklin stands for kindness, and it condemns how he was depicted. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
Hong Kong will set up a judge-led independent committee of inquiry to determine the cause of last week's deadly apartment block fire. The fire that scorched 7 high-rise apartment towers has killed at least 156 people. A makeshift memorial dedicated to victims of the deadly fire drew hundreds of mourners in downtown Vancouver on Sunday night, including Phoebe Wong.
Hong Kong people are so upset about it because we found out it's not purely an accident. It is not, and we believe it's a chain of corruption behind it.
At least 14 people have been arrested, including scaffolding contractors, as authorities probe suspected corruption. An Alberta judge has found a Calgary man guilty of 3 counts of participation in a terrorist group relating to activities in the Middle East over a decade ago.
Jamal Borhat was convicted after being charged with traveling to Syria in 2013 to assist in the terrorist activities of ISIS. Calgary Justice Corina Dario told Borhat he either knew or was willfully blind to the fact that he was working for a terrorist group and used firearms with the intention to kill anyone who wasn't Muslim. Bill Graveland, The Canadian Press, Calgary.
A source tells the Canadian Press no competing bids have emerged by the deadline for the historic Royal Charter of Hudson's Bay, dating back to 1670, and that clears the way for the Thompson and Weston families to buy the artifact. The families had planned a joint starting bid of $18 million in the auction scheduled for tomorrow. With no challengers, they're expected to be named the successful bidders. They intend to donate the charter to several Canadian institutions, including the Canadian Museum of History. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Montreal Canadiens host the Ottawa Senators in an all-Canadian rivalry matchup tonight. Elsewhere in the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs will visit the Florida Panthers. The Calgary Flames face the Predators. The Edmonton Oilers will host the Minnesota Wild. And the Vancouver Canucks take on the league-leading Colorado Avalanche in Denver. Last night in the NHL, the Winnipeg Jets lost 5-1 to the Buffalo Sabres. Pittsburgh Penguins captain Sidney Crosby scored twice in a 5-1 win over Philadelphia. The Toronto Raptors will look to get back into the win column tonight. They had a 9-game streak snapped, and they've since lost twice. They'll tonight host the Portland Trail Blazers. Canadian basketball star Jamal Murray will undergo more testing today after spraining his ankle during last night's Denver Nuggets loss to the Dallas Mavericks. And the Canadian men's basketball team beat the Bahamas last night in 2027 FIBA World Cup qualifying action in Toronto. From the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.